moving right along, we would have disseminated after the last meeting the interoperability framework and the omnibus of technical standards for your review, comments, etc. And now we're going to have a short presentation on both from iGovTT, the SAO, Security Solutions Architect Office. First, we will deal with the interoperability framework. And I'd like to call Mr. Martin Gray. Oh, sorry, Vama. I was listening to you. Vama Mirage.
Good morning. I'm Vama Mirage. As Kennedy said, I'll be presenting on the e-government interoperability framework. So, the e-government interoperability framework, or E-GIF, is an overarching policy intended to cover all aspects of ICT interoperability. And by interoperability, we mean the ability for two or more systems, whether they be computers, networks, or software, to interact with each other in order to obtain a specific and expected result. The framework also incorporates a number of documents referred to as the e-government manual, which we will look at a little bit later on in the presentation. Now, there are a number of countries with strong e-government initiatives that have already adopted this framework. Some of them would include Malaysia, New Zealand, Brazil, and the UK. So the purpose of the e-government interoperability framework in GOTS would be to facilitate information exchange. And by information exchange, we mean between government and citizens, government and businesses, and among government agencies or ministries. It's also to maximize the benefits of ICT in an effective manner, and to ensure the interoperability of ICTs within government. This framework shall really pass through a life cycle which will allow continuous updating and publishing. The stages of the life cycle are as follows. A new draft or a new version is drafted. From then it's passed to the publish for consultancy stage. This is where the stakeholders will give a review and have their input into the document as is. Once this is completed, the draft is passed to the revised phase where all the necessary revisions made that are made in accordance with the recommendations provided by the stakeholders. From here, the draft will either go back to the publish for consultant stage just to ensure that everything is captured. After that, it goes back to the revised phase where we ensure that there are no changes or additional changes to be made. From then, it is passed to the published phase where we will now have a published version of the framework. So as I mentioned before, the framework includes a number of documents called the e-government manual. And we'll look at this manual a little bit in detail here. So, one of the documents will be the e-government omnibus technical standards, in which we will have presented on a little later on also. There's also the metadata policy, and this policy simply states the indexing and searching of government information by adding context to a search. It also includes the metadata profiles and bindings, and this says which elements should be added to a specific search content, such as the metadata tags you will have on your web page or on a certain page in your website. There's also the policy on content and presentation designs. Now you can see that the e-government omnibus technical standards and the policy on content and presentation is in green and the rest are in red. So I don't know if you can see the key up there. Green is those have already been created, and the ones in red are currently in development. Now back to the policy and content presentation. As you all may know, this is like the look and feel of how your government will present data to the public. Some of the other documents that we have in the manual would be the e-government manual the data standards catalog and the policy on XML naming design rules. And the policy on the XML naming design rules will help to promote consistent XML implementations. So if you're developing particular software and needs to interact with something, you would already have you would know what XML it should interpret, instead of trying to find out from the other ministry what is your XML format like. Now, some of the benefits that can be derived from this framework are continuous improvement of services to public and business sectors, improving the image of government, and that's by standardizing the way in which it presents information and services through the use of ICT. Technical consistency and integration. This is by having similar standards within government which will provide for seamless integration of systems. This framework would also assist in the increased adoption of open standards, as well as standardizing multi-channel service delivery. And that is harmonizing the interface by which clients access government information. And of course, to facilitate joint-up government, where government is now viewed as a single entity providing a multitude of services. How can we achieve these benefits? So one, by establishing governance to support and maintain the framework. Another one would be by establishing and maintaining a set of common technical standards. And this is where the e-government omnibus technical standards will come into play here. Establish interoperability policies which will guide the interaction among systems throughout government, and ensuring that develop a technical library. And that's where we can always go to for a point of reference when we go to develop a new system. And ensuring conformity to the ICT security policies of government, as we need to ensure that everything is well with our security policies. Now, it is proposed that an interoperability working group be established. And the role of this group would be to advise ministries with the responsibility of ICT, also to manage the interoperability framework and the e-government manual. They will also monitor the effectiveness of the framework and suggest any necessary enhancements. And of course, to promote and facilitate the adoption of the framework. So, a couple of the people that will benefit from this framework would be the IT managers, IT directors, CIOs, IT professionals, designers, what have you. I guess that concludes my part of the E-GIF presentation. I would now like to welcome Mr. Martin Great, who would carry on to the E-GOTS, so E-Government Omnibus Technical Standards.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you, Ryan, for that introduction into the E-GIF framework. Looking back at the e-government manual, we now look a little closer at the e-government omnibus technical standards and how this can help achieve the E-GIF framework. E-GOTS. What is E-GOTS? The E-GOTS consists of a library of technical standards. So the framework had a library of technical documents. The E-GOTS is a library of technical standards recommended for government ICT systems, as well as it's a subcomponent within the manual and allows for the harmonizing of ICT standards to facilitate interoperability. Some of the benefits of E-GOTS: adoption of robust technical standards. These standards will be the ones that have been tried, tested, and proven over time, and they are stable ICT standards. Future-proofing. This is ensuring that government will be able to review the upcoming standards, as well as forward planning, ensuring that the investment in the ICT standards return value. Up-to-date standardized ICT environments. This speaks to the government keeping up to date with technology as it evolves. Technical guidance. The e-GOTS here can be used for consultation purposes. So when the systems are being developed, the IT managers, etc., can use these documents to guide in ensuring they have the correct standards deployed in their systems. First, the continuous stakeholder collaboration. The e-GOTS document is a living document. Technology is evolving all the time. By having stakeholders in this process, it will ensure that the standards keep evolving as we move forward with technology. As well as ensuring that there is fast adoption of policies because of collaboration. Common service delivery mechanism. This speaks to having a common presentation of services. An example of this would be the use of web-based protocols for the presentation of content. Open standards. These standards that we are suggesting that exist in government should be vendor and product neutral. Other benefits would be conformance to government policies and standards, as well as maturity and popularity. Again, the stable ICT standards would now become commonplace in government. These are the areas presently that e-GOTS refers or targets: the networking, data integration, application and presentation, security, and web services. This is not a closed group, but these are the areas that they are targeting presently. Okay, there are 4 classifications that the e-GOTS would speak to. A standard can be adopted, under observation, deprecated, or withdrawn. This is a sample of one of the standards. We have a description which says what the standard is, the categories that the standard relates to, classification. In the previous slide we saw 4 classifications. This one is adopted. We have the usage guidance and a couple other areas, applicability, next review date. The next steps. We have the publish for consultation stage, where all the stakeholders will give their input as to what standards need to be in government, what they need to be in government. They'll be reviewed and updated accordingly, and we'll seek the necessary approval. Obviously, the final one being cabinet. Once cabinet gives the approval, then the approved document will be published. And again, I said it was a living document, the GOTS document. Therefore, we're going to have to continuously go at the documents and keep updating. That concludes my part of the presentation.
Thank you, Burma and Martin. So these are documents that would have been disseminated previously. So we have to discuss now what is the protocol we're going to adopt in terms of getting that feedback, because we are in the consultation phase, as was indicated in both presentations. So I would like to open the floor for any questions you may have about the matter before we go into discussion as to how we're going to proceed in terms of getting the feedback, updating the documents, and moving it forward to a stage where it can be proper to cabinet for their approval and adoption.